What's next for your smart kitchen? How about a smart cutting board? That's our Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin, and with us is one of the co-founders of BLOK, B-L-O-K, Tony Frick. Thanks for taking the time with us, Tony.
Hi, Fred. Thanks for having me.
So what is BLOK?
So BLOK is essentially the Peloton of the kitchen. So think a smart cutting board with an embedded digital display that you stream live and on-demand cooking classes led by celebrity chefs. Our app lets you order all the ingredients you need for those classes, and you can take these classes with your closed social network. So the thought is, you could take this class with your family in California, in Florida, in Chicago, and you could all join at the same time and share a meal together, just like when we were all back in person pre-COVID.
So how did it come about? What's the story behind this?
So like most people, my wife and I were stuck in the house for a number of months during the depths of the pandemic. We were casual chefs, but I think we ended up started cooking a lot more than we used to. I work in the digital fitness space, and my wife works in TV news, and we were struck by kind of the lack of offerings in the digital kind of at-home cooking space. So we started doing some research around, where we would add a connected hardware device. We started with kind of the cutting board, and it snowballed, and there was a lot of folks that were really interested in this, and we've decided to bring it to market.
When you just tell somebody a digital cutting board, they envision chopping on an iPad, which would not work out too well. So describe this for us and the user experience.
Yep. So it's a traditional high-end wood cutting surface with the digital display on the top of it that's removable. And it's all coupled with a docking station where the speakers, camera, and microphone are housed. So if you've ever taken a spin class, they're very much choreographed around the bike. You're in and out of the seat. It's very high energy, and the instructor takes you through that spin class connected with that piece of hardware. And that's how we're going to run these classes. So the classes start, and you'll start with prep work. So you'll take the cutting board and place it on your countertop and start with chopping, dicing, all the prep. After all the prep is done, you'll redock the cutting board into the docking station and move over to the stove. So throughout the entire class, it's going to be choreographed around our hardware and give you the opportunity to not only interact with the chef, but interact with your friends and family who are also taking the class.
So it's a communications device as well, to some extent.
Yes. So, how we envision this is we took, three pieces of kitchen hardware, if you will, and cut them down to one. So you traditionally have a cutting board. If you were trying to do this, you would most likely having to be kind of streaming a class on your iPad and then maybe using FaceTime or trying to project one of these classes through kind of a Zoom or a Google Meets function. And none of those classes that you would find on YouTube are designed for, necessarily you to take with your friends. Even a master class is designed for individual pursuit. We're both a hardware and a content company, and the content is going to be designed specifically around our hardware. So 30 minutes, super high energy, and it's choreographed around our hardware. And the digital display obviously can take all the abuse that your iPad and your phone can. I don't know about you, but in my house I have 3 kids, and you'll probably hear them running around at some point during this interview. But our iPads are work, they're Disney Plus, they're doing all these other things, and they can't take a knife, they can't take the abuse of your kitchen. And our digital display is in a housing that can take all of that. So you won't be worried about getting chicken juice on it or a knife hitting it, etc. The goal is for this to really take the abuse that you'll throw at it in the kitchen.
People might wonder about how you sanitize this. You did mention that the screen comes apart from the actual cutting board.
Yes, yeah. So the wood cutting board and the digital display lock together through a magnetic connection. Think like a Microsoft Surface, but a little bit of a stronger connection so that the digital display can't be shaken loose. When you want to clean this, you can separate them, but you don't have to. Both of them can go in the sink. I mean, with most wood cutting boards, the typical advice is don't put them in the dishwasher because it can warp the wood, etc. Our advice is going to be similar. Put both pieces in the sink, hot water, soap. Some people love to use a diluted bleach solution, which you can also use for both of our pieces.
Now, with the content, my guess is because you're into fitness, that this is going to be healthy stuff you're going to steer people towards for the most part?
Healthy stuff, but fun. Think a Peloton class or a digital fitness class. So there's going to be music playing. It's going to be high energy music. Our chefs are going to ask you, maybe pour yourself a glass of wine or make yourself a drink. There's going to be pauses where you can interact with your friends and family while you're doing other tasks in the kitchen. So this is really going to be choreographed to produce a community party type atmosphere. In my house, I grew up in a very Italian family in South Philly here in Philadelphia, and cooking is a familial experience. Everyone is in the kitchen. It's loud, it's fun. There was always music playing, and that's the goal here. Our goal is not for someone to be perfect when they're producing their meal. Their goal is for them to have fun, engage with their family and friends, and produce a meal that they're happy with, and over time they're going to learn a lot. But it's meant to be fun, healthy, and enjoyable, and turn cooking a meal into less of a chore and more into an experience.
So you're on Kickstarter and have surpassed your goal there. Tell us about the deals that backers can get and when you plan to have these in people's hands.
Yep. So we still have a few super early birds left, which is the greatest deal we'll ever offer for BLOK. And what that gets you is the hardware at $100 off. So you pay $299 for the hardware. After Kickstarter, it'll retail for $399. You also get a free year's subscription to our app, which retails for $39.99 a month. You'll get 12 months of that for free. And a little bit of a coming attraction. If we hit some stretch goals that we're going to be announcing in the next week or so, we're going to push down that monthly subscription for all Kickstarter backers, whether it's folks that have already backed or folks in the future. Because one of the biggest commentaries and something we want to address for our Kickstarter folks is to really make that monthly subscription as economical as possible. The monthly subscription is there, frankly, because we're selling the hardware essentially at cost, and we're going to produce super high-end cooking classes with celebrity chefs that we've already signed one individual that was a high placer on Hell's Kitchen and is a celebrity chef out of DC, Declan Horgan, and we've got a number of other folks in the pipeline. So these are going to be chefs that are household names. They're going to be folks that you know and you love, and you want to spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes with cooking a meal.
Terrific. So how can people find you?
So we're on Kickstarter. As you mentioned, it's BLOK. So if you just search BLOK BLOK on Kickstarter, you'll find our page and you can order. You can also go to a separate pre-order page if you want to follow that over to Kickstarter, and that's just preorder.joinblok.com.
Terrific stuff. Tony Frick, thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Thank you for having me.